In the twilight of forgotten worlds, beneath the dust of 1,000 lost civilizations, humanity returns to the place where it all began, the Cradle. When the first landing craft descends through its salmon-colored sky, no one expects the silence to feel alive. The rocks breathe, the air hums with memory, and the ruins whisper names older than Earth itself. Each step taken by the explorers awakens something ancient, a story carved not in stone, but in the very bones of the planet. They came seeking answers about the past, but the Cradle remembers more than they were ever meant to know. The descent onto Cradle was smoother than anyone had dared to hope. The landing craft hummed softly as it cut through the thinning atmosphere, the salmon-hued sky casting an otherworldly glow across the landscape. Commander Elias Park sat rigid in his seat, eyes scanning the vista that spread beneath them, a panorama both alien and hauntingly familiar. Jagged rock formations stretched out like the bones of some colossal creature long dead. Sparse vegetation, twisted and gnarled, clung stubbornly to the cracked earth. Yet there was something almost comforting in the planet's Earth-like appearance, a primeval echo of home. Touchdown in T-10, the pilot's voice crackled over the com. Around Ilias, the crew stirred, anticipation taut in the cabin air. Dr. Mara Ellison, the expedition's lead archaeologist, adjusted the straps of her field pack, her sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses reflecting the faint glow of the control panel. Beside her, Dr. Sonvi Rowe, the linguist, flipped through her notebook filled with cryptic symbols and hastily sketched theories. Lieutenant Jonas Cade, the security officer, checked his gear with methodical precision. When the craft's landing legs kissed the ground, a thin plume of dust rose, swirling like a ghostly veil before settling. The ramp lowered with a soft hiss, and the team stepped out into the alien air. Mara inhaled deeply, the scent faintly metallic but tinged with the freshness of damp earth. Her boots crunched against stones that seemed unnervingly hand-carved, their surfaces etched with patterns both intricate and alien. "Commander, look at this," Mara called, kneeling beside a large stone monolith partially buried in the soil. The markings on its surface glimmered subtly, as if alive beneath the layers of dust and time. She traced a finger along the grooves, the texture surprisingly smooth despite the apparent age. Elias approached, his normally composed features betraying a flicker of awe. These aren't natural formations." Sonvi joined them, her eyes widening. "This script? It's unlike anything in the databases. And yet, there's a logic to it. A language waiting to be awakened." As the sun climbed higher, the team worked swiftly to establish their base camp. Tents sprouted like mushrooms around a cleared area, advanced equipment unpacked and powered up. The ruins loomed beyond, silent and inscrutable, their shadow stretching long across the cracked earth. Even as the day wore on, the weight of their discovery settled like a stone in their chests. These ruins were not just remnants of a forgotten people. They predated all known human history. The implications were staggering. Was this planet truly humanity's cradle? Had they just unearthed the genesis of human civilization itself? Nightfall brought a chill that seeped into the bones. Around a flickering holographic map projected in the center of camp, heated discussions broke out. Some argued for immediate disclosure to Earth's authorities, while others cautioned restraint, wary of the upheaval such knowledge could provoke. Mara's gaze drifted to the stars overhead, each one a distant sun in an infinite sea. Somewhere out there, the story of humanity was being rewritten. The question was, who would be ready to listen? And what secrets did Cradle still hold beneath its ancient stones? Dawn broke over the Cradle. its pale amber light filtering through the thin atmosphere and casting long, slanted shadows over the excavation site. Dr. Alina Marquez stood at the forefront, her gaze fixed on the freshly unearthed stone tablets that lay half buried in the ochre soil. The air was crisp, tinged with the faint scent of disturbed earth and the metallic temps of the advanced scanning devices humming steadily around the perimeter. The tablets were unlike anything the team had expected. Covered in intricate, looping symbols that shimmered faintly under the early light, they defied classification. Elena's fingers trembled slightly as she brushed away the dust, revealing patterns that suggested deliberate design and ancient script, yet utterly alien in composition. Nearby, Dr. Arjun Patel crouched, sketching the artifacts into his journal, his brow furrowed as he attempted to reconcile the images with known historical frameworks. "Look at this," Alina called softly, motioning Professor Kai Zhang over. Kai approached, his sharp eyes narrowing behind his glasses as he activated a holographic interface, projecting a three-dimensional model of the tablets into the air. He traced the lines with a digital stylus, his mind racing to decode the complex glyphs. "These symbols," Kai murmured, "they don't match any known language families. Not Proto-Indo-European, not Sumerian, not even the constructed languages of early human settlements. This could be an entirely lost linguistic system, one that predates everything we know." Alina nodded, her excitement mingling with a creeping sense of apprehension. If this is true, it means humanity's history is far older and far more complex than we've ever imagined. It changes everything. As the team set up a makeshift laboratory near the site, the atmosphere grew charged with anticipation. Holographic projections, linguistic models, and cultural analyses unfolded across the glowing screens. Kai worked tirelessly, sometimes muttering to himself as he struggled to find patterns or connections. Arjun provided cultural context, positing theories about societal structures and symbolic meaning, while Alina coordinated the efforts with a blend of determination and caution. But beneath the surface excitement, tension simmered. Captain Sarah Jensen, overseeing security, observed the growing divisions among the scientists and expedition members. At a meeting held under the harsh fluorescent lights of the base camp's conference room, voices clashed. "We can't just keep this secret," argued Alina, her voice steady but urgent. "The world needs to know the truth about our origins. Humanity deserves to reclaim its forgotten past." "Disclosure could destabilize societies," countered Arjun, his tone measured but firm. "Imagine the political, religious, and social upheaval this could cause. We risk tearing apart the fragile cohesion of our civilization." Kai leaned forward, fingers steepled. "And what if there are forces perhaps still active that meant for this knowledge to remain buried? We may be inviting danger by digging too deep." A silence followed, thick and heavy. Outside, the wind whispered through the alien grasses, as if echoing the unspoken fears of the team. That night, Sarah stood watch alone near the excavation boundary. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting a cold silver glow over the landscape. Her breath came in steady puffs, the quiet punctuated only by distant, unidentifiable sounds from the wilderness beyond. She remained alert, her thoughts heavy with the possibility that the planet itself might resist their intrusion. Back at the camp, Alina stared at the tablets once more, the strange symbols etched deeply into stone. The whispers beneath the soil were growing louder, not just in sound but in meaning, pulling the expedition into a labyrinth of discovery, doubt, and danger. As the night deepened, the team faced a choice that would shape not only their future but the destiny of humanity itself. To unveil the truths buried for millennia, or to shield the world from revelations that could rewrite the story of existence. The afternoon sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the jagged landscape of Cradle's enigmatic ruins. Inside the expedition's temporary base, a palpable tension simmered as Kiara Singh adjusted the settings on the geophysical scanner. The device hummed softly, its sensors probing beneath the soil, seeking answers hidden in darkness. Lina Marquez stood beside the console, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that blossomed into view, a complex network of chambers glowing beneath the surface like ghostly veins. Her breath caught at the scale of it. "These aren't just storage rooms or simple catacombs," she murmured, voice steady despite the excitement rising within her. "This is an entire subterranean city." Commander Lyra Voss entered the tent, his expression unreadable. "Report," he said simply. Kiara turned, pointing at the projection. The scans reveal a sprawling network extending at least a kilometer in every direction beneath the ruins. The architecture suggests advanced engineering, with large central halls and smaller chambers branching off. She paused, her gaze meeting Elias's. There's evidence of structural integrity maintained by some unknown technology. Haruto Kenzaki, who had been quietly reviewing translated symbols from the surface artifacts, looked up thoughtfully. If this civilization engineered such spaces underground, it implies they valued secrecy or protection. Perhaps they faced threats we have yet to understand. Lina nodded. It also changes our approach. We can't just excavate the surface and expect to understand their culture. The real story is beneath our feet. Elias ran a hand through his beard, weighing the options. Exploring these chambers could be dangerous. We don't know what defenses or environmental hazards lie below. Yet, the potential knowledge is immense. The room fell into a heavy silence. The decision to venture underground was not to be taken lightly. That night, the base hummed with quiet activity. Lina sat by the viewport, her silhouette framed by the alien constellations. Her mind drifted back to one of the recorded flashbacks from Earth's post-human epocha world, transformed by genetic manipulation and technological ascendance, where the memory of this ancient civilization was deliberately erased to prevent repeating catastrophic mistakes. In the vision, faceless figures in sterile chambers manipulated genomes, wiping collective memory like a fading echo. Societies restructured themselves, severing ties to their origins in a desperate bid for survival. The irony was bitter. Humanity's true birthplace was lost not by time, but by intentional forgetting. As the flashback faded, Lina's resolve hardened. "We must uncover the truth," she whispered, "no matter the cost." The next morning, the expedition gathered for a briefing. Elias addressed the team with measured authority. "We will prepare for a cautious descent into the subterranean chambers. Safety protocols will be strict. We proceed to learn what we can about this civilization that predates us all." Tensions between curiosity and caution rippled through the group. Some advocated for transparency and bold exploration. Others warned of the risks to their own identities and the fragile stability of human understanding. The echo of silence beneath the soil beckoned, promising revelations and dangers that would challenge everything they believed about their origins and future. As Lina and her team prepared their gear, the ruins above seemed to watch silently, guardians of secrets buried by time and will. The expedition's journey into the unknown was just beginning, and with every step downward, the shadows of the ancients grew longer, whispering warnings lost to memory but not to fate. The echoes of silence called them forward, and none could say what awaited in the dark. The translucent screen shimmered faintly in the dim light of the excavation tent. its surface alive with intricate symbols that flickered and shifted under Dr. Elena Marquez's careful touch. She traced the glowing lines with a stylus, her brow furrowed in concentration. The symbols, etched into ancient stone artifacts recovered from the Cradle's ruins, had eluded understanding since the expedition's arrival. But now, with the aid of advanced AI algorithms and cross-disciplinary insights, Alina sensed the first real breakthrough. "Look at this," she whispered, barely daring to disturb the heavy silence that had settled over the room. The symbols began coalescing into patterns, complex and elegant, that suggested more than mere pictographs. They were a language, yes, but one steeped in philosophy and technology intertwined. Captain Myra Solano leaned over Elena's shoulder, eyes sharp beneath her furrowed brow. "Are you certain this could redefine everything we know about humanity's origins?" Elena nodded slowly, the weight of the discovery pressing on her. "It's not just language. These symbols describe principles of bioengineering, societal governance, even metaphysical concepts. It's a window into a civilization that thought deeply about existence itself." Across the room, Jin Park adjusted his headset, fingers flying over a holographic keyboard as he integrated AI-assisted translation programs with Elena's findings. The hum of servers and computational processes filled the air, a stark contrast to the ancient relics scattered across tables and display pads. "The AI is beginning to identify grammar structures," Jin said, eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's like nothing I've ever seen. Their language encodes multiple layers of meaning simultaneously, symbolic, literal, and emotional." Professor Darius Chen approached, holding a small tablet carved from a translucent, glassy mineral. "I found this near the northern dig site," he said, voiced low with reverence. "The pictographs here hint at a cataclysm, a massive event that fractured their society." Mira's gaze hardened. Could this be why they vanished? "More than vanished," Darius replied. "Their records suggest a deliberate cultural suppression, a conscious erasure of their own history. They feared the knowledge might trigger the same disaster again." A hush fell. The notion that a civilization would choose oblivion over survival was almost unfathomable. Yet here, on Cradle, the evidence was irrefutable. Later, in the command tent, the team gathered for a tense discussion. The implications of their discovery rippled through the group like an electric current. "If we reveal this too soon," warned Dr. Marquez, "we risk destabilizing the very identity of humanity. This knowledge challenges our understanding of ourselves and could cause chaos. But hiding it," countered Jin, "denies humanity the chance to learn from our ancestors' mistakes. We have a duty to share this." Captain Solano weighed their words carefully. "We must balance transparency with caution. The world isn't ready for this truth, but neither can we bury it forever." As the debate raged, Alina returned to her work, her fingers dancing over the screen. More symbols emerged, more secrets whispered through time. Among them were warnings, encoded protocols that spoke of erasure and protection, of knowledge so dangerous it had to be locked away. The ancient civilization's voice, long silent, was growing louder. It spoke of hubris and hope, of destruction and the fragile thread of survival. And as the team delved deeper, they realized that understanding this forgotten tongue was not just about decoding language, it was about decoding humanity's own uncertain future. The night deepened outside the tent, stars flickering like distant memories. Inside, the flicker of holographic symbols cast ghostly shadows on determined faces, as the expedition stood at the threshold of a revelation that could change everything, or unravel everything they believed about themselves. "We have to keep going," Elena said softly, almost to herself, because if we don't remember, we are doomed to repeat. But beneath the weight of that truth lay a question no one dared yet to ask. What if some knowledge was never meant to be found? The hum of machines mingled with the whispered echoes of the past, and the forgotten tongue began to speak once more, its voice resolute and haunting, beckoning humanity to listen and to choose wisely. The entrance to the underground chambers yawned before them like a dark maw swallowing light and hope. Dr. Mara El-Sayed adjusted her helmet's illumination, the beams swinging across walls, etched with iridescent symbols that pulsed faintly in the stale air. "Keep your eyes sharp," she murmured, voice barely above the whispering hum of their equipment. Captain Jonah Reyes led the line, his boots crunching softly against the gravel-strewn floor, senses alert to any sign of danger. The air was heavy with a stillness that seemed unnatural, as if the very planet held its breath. Dr. Sorenvolt trailed behind, fingers twitching over the handheld scanner, which blinked erratically, overwhelmed by ancient yet active energy fields. "This place, it's alive," Soren muttered, eyes fixed on the readings. Some kind of system still operational after all this time. Lena Kurov, her translator device, humming quietly, read aloud fragments of the inscriptions, "Guardians. Silence. Eternal vigilance." Her voice was steady, but the words sent a chill through the group. Suddenly, a low mechanical word broke the silence. From a recessed alcove, a sleek, metallic drone unfolded like a spider awakening from a long slumber. Its blue sensors blinked to life, scanning the intruders with an unblinking gaze. The air vibrated as its limbs extended, joints clicking with precise, cold efficiency. "Contact. Automated defense system." Captain Reyes barked, drawing his sidearm and signaling the team to take cover. Mara's heart pounded as she ducked behind a crumbling pillar, eyes locked on the unmoving machine that now threatened their lives. Soren frantically tapped commands into his tablet, attempting to override the drone's protocols. "I can't get past the firewall. This AI is ancient, but sophisticated post-human, definitely." The drone fired a burst of energy, crackling through the dim corridor. Sparks flew as the beam struck the wall inches from Mara's shoulder. She scrambled backward, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Fall back," Reyes commanded, voice calm but urgent. The team retreated through the winding corridors, dodging automated traps and crumbling debris triggered in their wake. The labyrinth seemed designed not just to protect, but to confound any trespassers. As they fled, the faint glow of the glyphs began to fade, the chambers sinking back into darkness. Reaching the stairwell, Mara paused to glance back, the weight of what they had encountered settling heavily upon her. Outside, beneath the alien sky streaked with unfamiliar constellations, the team gathered, breaths ragged, bodies trembling. "This civilization's reach was far greater than we imagined," Mara said softly, eyes reflecting both fear and fascination. "Their technology, it's post-human, and it's still guarding their secrets." Captain Reyes nodded. "We've only just scratched the surface. Our mission just became a lot more dangerous." Lena adjusted her translator and looked up at the ruins that loomed behind them, silent and inscrutable. What were they so afraid of? The question hung in the air, heavy and unresolved, as the shadows of the ancients stretched long beneath the twin moons of Cradle. The descent had been deliberate and cautious, but nothing could have prepared them for the living history that awaited in the depths. The team's flashlights swept over walls covered in intricate carvings, depicting scenes of a civilization at its zenith, cities suspended in air, beings merging flesh and machine, and starships charting unknown galaxies. Mara's hands trembled slightly as she traced the lines of a particularly elaborate figure, humanoid form with cybernetic wings unfurled. They weren't just survivors, they were pioneers of evolution, she whispered. Their progress was suddenly halted by a metallic clank echoing through the chamber. From the shadows, a cluster of drones emerged, their movements synchronized and methodical. Captain Reyes raised his weapon, signaling the team to hold their ground. Soren's voice cracked over the comms. I'm detecting power surges. These systems are linked. If one activates, they all respond. The drones advanced, their sensors flaring with increasing intensity. A tense standoff ensued, broken only when one drone emitted a piercing sound that triggered a series of defense turrets hidden in alcoves. Energy beams sliced through the air, narrowly missing the team as they scrambled for cover. Retreat, Mara shouted, urgency lacing her words. We're not ready for this. The scramble back was a chaotic ballet of quick decisions and near misses. Lena's translator beeped warnings as she deciphered inscriptions, pointing to the ruins' purpose as a last bastion against unknown threats. Emerging into the waning light of the evening, the team exhaled collectively, the weight of the encounter sinking deep. This was no mere archaeological dig. It was a confrontation with the legacy of a civilization whose fears and defenses had endured millennia. As night cloaked the Cradle, the explorers huddled around their campfires, minds racing with questions and possibilities. The ancients had left shadows that now stirred with the footsteps of those daring enough to seek the truths buried beneath. The discovery had changed everything, and the echoes of the past whispered warnings that could not be ignored.